The anime begins with a guy named Hajime Nagumo awakening in a cave within the Great Orcus Labyrinth, a dangerous world filled with monsters. He contemplates his dire situation and the possibility of death while attempting to find an exit. He witnesses a bunny monster effortlessly defeating two other monsters with its powerful attacks. However, their encounter is interrupted when a larger predator arrives and kills the bunny, devouring it. Hajime tries to escape but is attacked by the predator, resulting in him losing his arm. He manages to survive by utilizing his special ability called Transmute, which allows him to reshape objects. He discovers a sacred stone containing holy water, which he uses to heal his injuries and remove curses. Hajime then recalls the skills he learned from the royal library of his high school, and realizes that he is far weaker compared to his classmates in terms of combat ability. As Hajime delves deeper into the labyrinth, he experiences flashbacks, revealing how he ended up in this predicament. Nagumo and his classmates initially entered the Great Orcus Labyrinth together. A classmate named Emanagawa saves Hajime when he struggles against a monster, emphasizing the need for Hajime to work harder. During their exploration, they come across a glance crystal, which teleports them to a trap filled with monsters. In the face of danger, the group relies on a divine protection spell for defense, but it eventually fails. Hajime uses his transmute ability to fend off the monsters while his classmates make their way across a bridge. However, Hajime is struck by a direct attack from one of his teammates, causing him to fall off the bridge, which collapses due to the monster's onslaught. On the brink of death and feeling betrayed by his classmates, Hajime questions why he chose to train in the Great Orcus Labyrinth. Determined to survive, he resorts to eating monsters for sustenance and manages to trap two wolf monsters. As he consumes their flesh, he experiences a peculiar sensation from the wolf's blood but successfully survives. Examining his status plate, he discovers that his level has increased and gains additional skills related to lightning and wolf attributes. Hajime creates a revolver-like weapon named Donner using his transmutation skills, along with crafting blasting bullets from different stones. With his newly acquired abilities, he defeats a bunny monster, further enhancing his skills. Eventually, he faces off against the larger predator once again and emerges victorious in a rematch. Nagumo becomes determined to eliminate various monsters in his path, while his teammates explain the entire situation to the king of the kingdom. They describe how they unintentionally entered a trap on the 20th stage of the Great Orcus Labyrinth, which teleported them to the unprecedented 65th stage, where they encountered the fearsome behemoth. The king reminds them that their presence in this world was part of an agreement. Meanwhile, Nagumo's teammate named Shizuku experiences flashbacks, as Pope Ishtar, the king's servant, explains the reason behind their summoning as heroes. The demons in this world have gained control over monsters, and humanity is on the verge of destruction. The heroes were summoned by the prayers of the people of Taurus to combat the demons and their monster allies with their incredible powers. Shizuku remembers how her girlfriend, Kaori, agreed to fight demons alongside her. While reminiscing, Shizuku starts suspecting Hiyama, another teammate, as she notices his constant conflict with Nagumo. She speculates that Hiyama might be acting out of jealousy, but she pushes aside the thought for the time being. Meanwhile, Kaori wakes up from her unconscious state, having lost sight of Nagumo. As Nagumo continues his exploration, he encounters one-eyed monsters behind a door. Engaging in battle, he manages to defeat them using Donner's powerful shots. He finds mana stones within their bodies, which he collects to unlock the door. Behind the door, he discovers a girl who has been sealed within a stone. The girl reveals that she belongs to a long line of vampires, and was sealed away by her uncle and the ministers due to her immortality and rapid healing powers. Utilizing his abilities, Nagumo successfully breaks the stone, freeing the girl. He gives her the name Yu. While escaping, Yu and Nagumo come face to face with a scorpion monster. The monster attacks Nagumo, severely injuring him. Despite his injuries, Nagumo unleashes multiple attacks in an attempt to defeat the monster, but his efforts prove futile. Then Yu uses her Azure Blaze ability to launch a powerful attack on the monster. Taking advantage of the distraction, Nagumo successfully shoots the monster's head with Donner, ultimately killing it. After the battle, Yu explains her unique nature of regeneration instead of aging. She also reveals that all the labyrinths are created by mavericks, with each maverick residing at the center of a labyrinth. finding the maverick could potentially lead them to the surface. Motivated by this knowledge, Nagumo crafts another rifle named Schlegen, and the duo continues their journey in search of the labyrinth's center. As they progress, Nagumo shares the story of how they were summoned by the god Iet to fight against the demons. He reflects on his own uselessness among his classmates and how they betrayed him. Now, he no longer cares about them and focuses solely on improving himself. Nagumo decides to bring you along with him on his quest to return home. During their travels, they encounter a group of dinosaurs with flowers on their heads, which they manage to evade. Eventually, they find themselves in a cave surrounded by green crystals. Suddenly, a flower grows on Yu's head, causing her to launch multiple attacks on Nagumo. A monster with controlling powers appears, but Nagumo skillfully defeats it with his shots. Later, Yu reveals that she drinks blood instead of consuming regular food. Undeterred, Nagumo and Yu continue their journey, successfully reaching the 100th floor of the labyrinth. As they reach the bottom of the abyss, Nagumo and Yu confront the final boss, a six-faced dragon monster. The dragons launch their attacks, but Nagumo and Yu skillfully defend themselves. In a powerful counterattack, Nagumo fires multiple shots with his Donner, while Yu utilizes glacial sleets to inflict heavy injuries on the dragons. However, the dragons quickly heal themselves with the assistance of a healing dragon. Nagumo and Yu decide to target the healing dragon first, launching a barrage of attacks. However, the defending dragon takes all the damage onto itself, acting as a perfect balance between attacker, defender, and healer. Suddenly, a dragon manipulates Yu's mind, attempting to harm her. Nagumo comes to her rescue, saving her from the illusion. Yu, feeling abandoned once again, is comforted when Nagumo wakes her up with a kiss and reassures her that they are going home together. Nagumo grabs his Shijin rifle and delivers a powerful shot, eliminating 3 of the dragon's faces. Yu unleashes her Heavenly Blaze ability, combining their efforts to defeat all of the dragons. However, another dragon monster appears and launches a fierce attack on Yu. Nagumo defends her with his crafted rifle, but in the process, he sustains heavy injuries and collapses. The dragon continues its assault, but Yu, determined to save Nagumo, carries him on her back while evading the attacks. Yu tries to awaken Nagumo using holy water and attacks the dragon with his revolver, but her attempts fail. Seeing Yu in tears, Nagumo suddenly awakens with renewed strength and protects her from a dragon's attack. Nagumo sets up a trap by creating holes with his shots and filling them with grenades. The trap causes rocks to fall on the dragon, momentarily incapacitating it. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Nagumo combines his transmutation ability with Yu's Azure Blaze, resulting in the defeat of the dragon. Meanwhile, Nagumo's classmates continue their battle against monsters elsewhere. However, Kaori, still mourning Nagumo's loss, holds onto a deep sense of grief and kindness for him. The next morning, Nagumo wakes up to find himself naked in a house, accompanied by Yu. He asks her what happened the previous night, and Yu explains that she had opened the door and taken him out. With the help of holy water, she managed to heal his injuries. They find clothes in the house and prepare to explore the surrounding area. While searching the rooms, they come across one with a significant sign on the floor, accompanied by a skeletal corpse sitting on a chair. As Nagumo steps on the sign, he witnesses the soul of a man named Oscar Orcus emerging from the skeleton. Oscar reveals that he is the creator of the labyrinth and commends Nagumo for surviving the trials and reaching this point. He informs Nagumo that the message he is delivering is pre-recorded. Meanwhile, Kaori, Shizuku, and the rest of their teammates are engaged in a rematch against the behemoth monster on the 65th floor, fighting on the same bridge. They unleash multiple attacks with various powers, eventually defeating the monster with a final limit break blow. On the other side, Oscar Orcus bestows his power upon Nagumo and advises him not to use it for evil purposes. Nagumo experiences an ultimate sensation and realizes that the gods and mavericks were not evil but liberators. They utilize the skeleton corpse as fertilizer for fields and use the Orcus ring to unlock other rooms. Together, they learn different skills, and Nagumo crafts various weapons. Nagumo also consumes monster meat to further enhance his abilities. They undergo intense training for 2 months and decide to confront the monsters and kingdoms of the world together, protecting each other. Nagumo and Yu successfully teleport to another world, where they are greeted by a rabbit girl eagerly awaiting their arrival. She pleads with them to save her family, explaining that if she lets them go, her future race will be destroyed. She possesses the unique ability of future sight, which is why she knew they would come to help her. Though Nagumo initially suggests they continue on their way, Yu insists on taking her along as their guide. Together, they embark on a journey to rescue the rabbit girl's family, riding on a bike summoned by Nagumo. Along the way, they encounter and defeat numerous dragons. The rabbit girl continues to explain the dire situation faced by the beastmen, who are unable to protect themselves from monsters. However, she possesses a special magic called Future Sight. Nagumo impresses the entire beastman community with his exceptional skills, and they decide to train the beastmen to fight against the monsters and protect themselves. Eventually, they come across a magnificent tree that has stood for ages without rotting. The people explain its significance to Nagumo, who notices a sign resembling Oscars. He realizes that this tree may be the entrance to another labyrinth. Placing the Orcus ring in one of the holes, Nagumo discovers that by clearing the other 4 labyrinths, the door will open, granting them access to ancient magic of regeneration. Nagumo informs the people about the plan and urges them to train themselves while he continues his journey. He takes the rabbit girl, along with Yu, with him as they proceed forward, determined to conquer the remaining labyrinths and unlock the ancient magic. After successfully entering the labyrinth in Raizen Gorge, Nagumo and Yu encounter a door that welcomes them in a creepy yet amusing manner. While exploring, Nagumo inadvertently triggers a trap of big rock balls and blades, but they manage to defend themselves and continue onward with the help of the bunny girl's hammer. They eventually arrive at the place they left before. Undeterred, they press forward and find themselves in a hall filled with big armors. They easily defeat them and proceed by jumping on a rock that transports them to Mildy Raizen, the boss of the labyrinth. Nagumo explains their purpose of seeking the ancient magic, and Raizen questions their ultimate goal and why they desire this magic. Nagumo shares his aspiration of returning home, and initially, Raizen refuses to disclose the information. In response, Nagumo launches missile attacks, initiating a battle. After multiple exchanges of attacks and counters, Raizen employs his ability to manipulate rocks, but Nagumo, with Yu and Shia, manages to defend themselves by jumping from one rock to another. Yu unleashes her force rupture ability, and Nagumo traps Raizen with ropes. Finally, Shia, the bunny girl, deals a powerful blow to Raizen's crystal with her hammer, resulting in his defeat. Nagumo and Yu commend Shia for her contribution. Before parting ways, Raizen offers Nagumo a speech, wishing him luck in achieving his end goal. While proceeding further, they come to know who Raizen actually was. He appreciates his own good luck speech while Shia becomes angry and beats him. Raizen reveals that his magic was gravitic in nature and advises them to make good use of it. He gives them a ring and rare materials before escorting them out through a river tunnel. Upon reaching the surface, they head to a hotel and book a room where Yu and Shia engage in a playful argument about who gets to sleep with Nagumo. Later, Nagumo, Yu, and Shia encounter Ilwer Chang, the head of the city. He asks them to do him a favor and rescue a person named Wheel Kudeta, who is lost in the forest due to a group of monsters. Nagumo initially refuses, as he has his own goals to accomplish. However, he offers 2 conditions to Chang: to provide them with status plates, and to comply with his requests in the future. Chang agrees to the conditions, and they proceed towards the farming area. While stopping at a restaurant to eat rice, Nagumo unexpectedly finds his sensei, along with other classmates. Sensei is overjoyed to see him alive, but Nagumo starts ignoring her, causing her to continue talking in vain. Meanwhile, Shia and Yu introduce themselves to Sensei. However, Sensei's attempts to engage Nagumo in conversation receive only rude responses. In the midst of this, a Templar Knight arrives and admonishes Nagumo for his behavior, insulting Shia by referring to her as a filthy beastman, and suggesting she should cut her ears to look more human. Shia feels embarrassed, and Yu retaliates by calling the knight a small man. The situation escalates as the knight attempts to draw his sword, prompting Nagumo to fire a shot at the knight's arm, warning him to mind his manners. Yukachi, one of Nagumo's colleagues, has flashbacks of Nagumo saving her life without receiving any thanks. Nagumo walks away from the scene, expressing his disinterest in the others and warning them not to get in his way, as he won't hesitate to kill if necessary. Sensei persistently calls out to him, but he continues to distance himself. Later that night, Nagumo speaks with Sensei alone in her room, explaining what happened to him. He reveals that after the ancient age of God, the world was engulfed in a war between humans, demons, and beastmen. Heroes emerged to stop the war, known as liberators, but they were eventually labeled as mavericks and hunted down by their own god. To survive, they built labyrinths and created trials and monsters. Nagumo confesses that he doesn't care about this conflict. He simply wants to go home. Sensei informs him that Shirasaki, their classmate, never gave up on him. Nagumo urges Sensei to warn Shirasaki about her friends and reveals that his fall was not an accident but a deliberate act targeting him. Later, as Nagumo, Yu, and Shia make their way towards the forest, Sensei and their classmates join them, and they venture forth together. Later, as they continue their search, Nagumo deploys human locating automatons Ornis to scout the nearby areas for any signs of coup d'etat. The Ornis discover broken shields, swords, and bags, as well as tracks left by a four-legged creature. They follow the tracks up the mountains and eventually reach a water flow. Nagumo senses someone's presence, and Yu uses her fishing wave ability to create a path behind the water flow. They find coup d'etat, who explains how a black dragon attacked him and his teammates, resulting in their deaths. Coup d'etat feels guilt-ridden, but Nagumo reassures him that there may be a reason he survived. On their way back, they encounter the black dragon once again. The dragon launches a powerful attack, but Nagumo successfully defends himself and the others using a metal shield. Yukachi comes to Nagumo's aid behind the shield, and Yu uses her freezing ability while Shia attacks with her hammer. However, the dragon quickly recovers and strikes Shia with its tail. Nagumo retaliates by firing multiple shots, weakening the dragon. The dragon then directly targets coup d'etat, but Yu defends him with her freezing ability. Nagumo instructs the rest of the team to stay out of the way, acknowledging that he can't protect everyone. Yu urges everyone to follow her lead. The dragon unleashes another powerful attack on Nagumo, prompting him to take out his rifle and shoot at the dragon, causing it to fall. Nagumo tries to capture the dragon using ropes, but it proves to be too powerful, so he orders Shia to continue her hammer attacks. As the dragon falls, Nagumo places a rod in a vulnerable spot on its body, causing the dragon to scream in a female voice. Nagumo insists that the dragon tell the truth, and the dragon reveals that she was manipulated and ordered to kill the young man and his companions. She explains that she flew from a hidden village to investigate travelers from another world. While resting in the mountains, a man dressed in dark robes manipulated her. The dragon further reveals that the man is amassing an army of monsters. Nagumo dismisses the dragon's claims and contemplates killing her for the chaos she caused. However, Yu intervenes, stating that the dragon is not their enemy. The dragon pleads for the rod to be removed, as its presence is causing her pain and could lead to her death. Nagumo removes the rod, and the dragon transforms into a beautiful girl named Tio Claris, a member of the Dragonborn clan. Tio explains that the army of monsters being gathered by the dark-robed man intends to attack the town. Nagumo receives a signal indicating that 60,000 monsters are marching toward the town and are 2 days away. Sensei suggests warning the townspeople and calling for help, but Nagumo refuses, stating that his primary concern is the safety of coup d'etat. The next morning, Sensei sits at a table with Nagumo and the other teammates, attempting to convince Nagumo to save the people from the approaching army. Nagumo initially resists, but he eventually agrees, respecting his teacher's command. They begin preparations together, evacuating the townspeople and building defensive walls. Nagumo assures Sensei that he will be fine, and she urges him to come back safely. As he readies his rifle, Shirasaki approaches Nagumo to express her gratitude for rescuing her in the labyrinth. Nagumo tells her not to die, acknowledging her bravery. Soon, the army of monsters arrives, and Nagumo gives his final touches to a speech he will deliver to the defending townspeople. He mentions Oiko-sensei, the goddess of agriculture, ensuring the people of victory. With a display of confidence, Nagumo shoots down a dragon, signaling the beginning of the battle. Tio Claris, Shia, and Yu unleash multiple attacks, decimating a significant portion of the enemy forces. Meanwhile, Nagumo rides his bike with Shia, launching attacks with his hammer and grenades, pushing the remaining army back. Finally, Nagumo and Shia manage to capture the man in the black robe who is controlling the army. They bring him to Sensei, only to discover that he is one of Sensei's students named Shimizu. Sensei questions him about his actions, and Shimizu explains that he captured a monster in the mountains and made a contract with a demon who promised to hail him as a hero if he killed Sensei. However, Nagumo thwarted his plans. In the midst of the conversation, Shimizu attempts to kill Sensei by grabbing her and threatens Nagumo to hand over all his weapons, or he will kill Sensei with a poison needle. Just as the situation intensifies, a dragon attacks them from behind. Shia gets injured while defending them, and Sensei is struck by the poison needle. Nagumo quickly assists Sensei by using holy water and kissing her, while Shia's injuries are healed. Shimizu, heavily injured and starving, is left to die. Sensei asks Nagumo to help him, but Nagumo refuses, recognizing him as an enemy, and ultimately kills him. With coup d'etat in tow, they continue on their journey, leaving behind the aftermath of the battle. Later, Nagumo and his teammates safely escort Kudeta back home to the town's leader. They request another status plate, and Tio Claris joins them, receiving a gold top-rank status plate. As Tio lies down in bed, she begins to have flashbacks of her training to fight against the gods, with her dying father telling her that someone will eventually defeat God. Tio shares this information with her elders and the people, spreading hope for better times to come. The following morning, Yu and Tio go shopping while Nagumo and Shia explore various places in town. Shia perceives it as a date, and they visit an aquarium where Nagumo encounters a talking fish. Sensing that it's a monster, Nagumo inquires how it ended up there. The fish explains that a group of people brought him there through an underground current while he was on the surface. The talking fish expresses gratitude to Nagumo and Shia for releasing him and warns Shia to be cautious of a large gang of slavers in the city. While wandering around the city, Nagumo senses something beneath the surface and identifies it as a weak and young child. Meanwhile, Yu and Tio discuss Shia's caring nature. Nagumo and Shia discover a little girl in a tunnel and bring her to a nearby house where they bathe and care for her. Nagumo asks the girl named Miu about herself. She explains that she was separated from her mother, lost, and then captured by a gang of slavers to be sold at a black market auction. Nagumo decides to hand Miu over to the city guards to help her return home. Although she opposes leaving Nagumo, he insists on giving her to the guards. As they make their way back, Miu cries profusely. Suddenly, Nagumo and Shia hear an explosion and rush back to the building where they left Miu with the guards. They discover that the slavers have taken her back, injuring the guards. The gang challenges Nagumo, stating that if he wants Miu alive, he must return with the bunny girl and hand her over as well. Considering them as enemies, Nagumo decides to eliminate the entire gang. Meanwhile, Yu and Tio enjoy their time together, unaware of the situation. Nagumo informs them about what transpired during their date and shares his plan to torture the gang members to locate Miu. They split into two groups to search for the gang's hideouts throughout the town. Nagumo continues his search for Miu, going from one hideout to another, freeing many child slaves along the way. The boss of the slavers gang takes Miu and puts her in a water cage on stage for auction. Suddenly, Nagumo arrives, shooting and killing the boss with multiple shots. He rescues Miu and takes her on a flying ride to witness the fireworks around the city. Meanwhile, Yu uses her powerful abilities to destroy every hideout with a single thunder attack. Nagumo successfully reunites with Miu and introduces Yu as his lover and Tio as a pervert. Miu expresses her gratitude to Nagumo, calling him Big Bro, but Nagumo insists she simply call him by his name. However, she refuses and lovingly refers to him as Papa. Later, they proceed to the guild leader, who identifies them as adventurers. Nagumo hands him a letter from the foreign guild leader, and the guild leader recognizes their increased strength. During their conversation, a man named Endo enters the room, visibly terrified and carrying an urgent message about a demon in the labyrinth. Endo is astonished by Nagumo's newfound power and acknowledges that he has changed significantly, expressing relief that Nagumo is alive. He urgently requests their help in facing the demon, explaining that all the heroes are trapped on the 99th floor with monsters. According to Endo, at first the heroes found nothing on the floor, but suddenly a demon appeared with a parrot on her shoulder, claiming it was a trap. The demon attempted to negotiate, enticing the heroes to join her side and ridiculing them as foolish heroes. However, they rejected her offer, leading the demon to reveal that one of their friends had accepted her proposition in the past. As the heroes refused again, the demon ordered her monsters to attack. Shizuku and Shuzu were knocked down by the onslaught of numerous summoned monsters, while the heroes unleashed their various abilities to defend themselves. Shizuku launched multiple sword attacks, but the monsters quickly healed themselves with the demon's power, leaving him feeling defeated. Amidst the chaos, Shizuku ordered Endo to inform Captain Meld, an assassin who could easily escape the situation. Endo vowed to find someone to help, relaying this information to Nagumo and the others. Meanwhile, Miu listened to the story while eating, unintentionally irritating Endo, who shouted at her in frustration. Nagumo reprimanded Endo, warning him not to speak to Miu in such a manner and intimidating him. In the labyrinth, one of the heroes used their limit break to defeat a monster, prompting the demon to unleash a powerful attack that resulted in the death of a hero. The leader of the heroes yelled for them to retreat, but Shizuku slapped him and urged him to remain calm. Endo explained how he ran toward Captain Meld, who was guarding the teleportation circle on the 77th floor, to inform him of the situation. However, the pursuing monsters continued their assault, attacking both of them. Captain Meld instructed Endo to use the teleportation circle to inform the others, emphasizing the importance of his survival. Endo felt immense guilt as he realized that Captain Meld wanted him to live. As the remaining heroes made their way back to the teleportation circle, some of them, overcome with fear of death, suggested following the demon's instructions. However, in the midst of this discussion, Captain Meld arrived covered in blood and severely injured. He urged them to survive, stating that the battle had been their own from the start, and then died from a demon's attack. The guild leader requested Nagumo to save the heroes, and Endo reminded him that they were their friends, to which Nagumo vehemently refused, declaring them nothing more than strangers. Meanwhile, in the labyrinth, the leader launched a powerful attack, driven by the sight of his captain's death and his own injuries, striking the demon with his sword. Despite Nagumo's initial refusal, memories of his close friends and allies, like Kaori, flooded his mind. He remembered Kaori's promise to protect him when he was weak. In the labyrinth, chaos reigned as everyone fought to survive the demon's attacks, with Kaori diligently healing the wounded. In a critical moment, both Kaori and Shizuku found themselves on the brink of death. Suddenly, a massive blade descended from above, slaying two of the large monsters, surprising everyone, including the demon. Nagumo had entered the labyrinth. As they make their way towards the heroes, Nagumo effortlessly defeats Behemoth with a single shot and creates a shortcut using his pile bunker, leading them directly into the midst of the battle. Nagumo arrives, eliminating two monsters, and calls out to his friends Kaori and Shizuku. They are initially skeptical of his identity as Nagumo, but eventually calm down. The rest of the team, including Endo, joins them through the shortcut. Nagumo assigns you to protect Endo and the others, while she attends to the fallen knights. The battle begins, and the demon challenges Nagumo, seeking to kill him with her own hands. She unleashes a magical attack summoning a monster, but Nagumo effortlessly catches it with his bare hands through the circle, eliminating the monsters. The demon summons more monsters, including cats and wolves, but Nagumo swiftly eliminates them with his precise shots. As the monsters continue to appear, Nagumo remains unfazed and defeats them one by one. The demon then summons a turtle monster, which launches an attack on Nagumo. He defends himself with a shield and redirects the attack towards the demon, injuring her. Nagumo fires multiple shots at the turtle monster and targets the healing parrot. When the turtle opens its mouth for another attack, he throws a grenade inside and defeats it. The heroes watch in shock as they witness Nagumo's intense battle skills. Two monsters approach the group, and Suzu, one of Nagumo's classmates, tries to protect them. However, Yu effortlessly handles the situation with her Dark Firmament ability, vanquishing the monsters. Tio and Shia also deal with monsters that come their way. A snake monster attempts to attack Kaori and Shizuku, but Nagumo throws a sword towards Shizuku, who skillfully slices the snake. Shizuku feels the sword is light and powerful, surprising herself and intimidating the demon. Nagumo taunts the demon, asking if that's all she's got, and then she attacks him with a powerful move called Crashing Goal. The heroes scream, thinking Nagumo has been hurt, but he emerges unscathed. In the midst of the chaos, Mew calls Nagumo Papa, which angers Kaori. The demon tries to escape but is blocked by a rod thrown by Nagumo, leading to a checkmate situation. Nagumo effortlessly defends against the demon's high-level magic and labels him as a monster. He asks her how she obtained the monsters and what her purpose is in the labyrinth. Refusing to talk, the demon endures 2 shots to her legs from Nagumo, causing significant damage. Nagumo theorizes that the monsters were created using ancient magic, and that the demon is here to reach the end of the labyrinth. The demon warns Nagumo that one day, his lover will find and kill him. Nagumo asserts that he will kill anyone who stands in his way and proceeds to kill the demon. Later, the group asks Shia to revive Captain Meld, and she assures them that he will be okay. Hajime praises Yu for her performance with love, and Kaori is relieved that Nagumo is still alive, leading her to cry tears of joy. On their way back, they easily handle the spawning skeletons. However, the leader Amanagawa becomes furious with Nagumo for killing the demon instead of just defeating her. Nagumo explains to him that he lives by a kill or be killed mentality and shows no mercy. He states that he won't hesitate to kill Amanagawa as well. Nagumo reveals that he came to the labyrinth because he owed a debt to Shirasaki Kaori, and now that debt is settled, it's time to bid farewell. As they finally return, Nagumo looks at the gathered army to save them, and the guild leader believes in the truth of the letter, considering Nagumo's swift defeat of the monsters. In a surprising turn of events, Kaori proposes to Nagumo, expressing her willingness to join him on their journey. However, Nagumo confesses that he has feelings for another girl, Yu, and cannot reciprocate Kaori's affection. Understanding his decision, Kaori decides to continue her journey by Nagumo's side. Meanwhile, Yu and Kaori engage in a friendly challenge to win Nagumo's heart. With their competition set aside, they all embark on their journey once again. Nagumo extends an invitation to Kaori, and they leave early in the morning. This marks the transformation of Nagumo into a true hero, concluding the season. That concludes the anime recap. Let me know what your thoughts are and I'm out.